Hello, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Chronicles. My name is Sarah, and today I am joined by a very special guest. If you listen to my show regularly, you would know me referencing this person. Today I'm here with my mom, Theresa.
Hi, everyone.
Today she is here to speak to you guys about my grandmother's journey with dementia and how that has impacted her as the primary caregiver for my grandmother, which also, I know if you listen to my show, you've heard me say before how great of a job my mother's done. Just how proud of her I am for all she's done for my grandmother. So, Mom, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it started out real slowly. Little signs. Sarah actually picked up on them before I did. And she would tell me things and tell me she thought that she might be starting with dementia or Alzheimer's. And I didn't want to believe that. And I know as people get older, and I myself, I can't remember things. A lot of times I want to say something and I forget the word, or I forget, I just forget the name of things or whatever. And it happens to all of us. Like, I'm in my late 50s. So, and it happens to a lot of my friends. We call it CRS, can't remember shit.
And we just got an explicit tag. I'm just kidding. No, but Mom is right with that. There are, if you've listened to our early signs of dementia episode, we do talk about forgetting things, but that's not, and I just want to say this again for anybody listening, and I think Mom, you would back me up on this. Just simple forgetting isn't necessarily a sign of dementia. It's more personality changes that you need to look for, not doing things you used to love to do and things like that. Those are the bigger signs, I think, with your loved one. Would you agree?
Yeah. So those kind of things we started to see that too. I had an awesome relationship with my mother. My mom and I used to walk. We'd go for a 2-mile walk with her little poodle, and we'd go shopping once a week. I would take her with my car, even when she was still driving, and we'd go to the market. And before that, we'd go and eat. That was our weekly ritual. We'd go grab a bite to eat. We'd go do our shopping, come home. I'd help her bring stuff in and put it away. And after a while, I started to notice it's like, geez, she's got 3 boxes of Raisin Bran in here, and she just brought another one. So, and I started to see more and more of that. And then during the week, she would tell me she was out of something. So I'm like, okay, Ma, maybe what you need to do is just do a list. So I bought her some paper that was shaped like a grocery list with lines, and I put a pencil in it, and I said, just write down, as you see you're running out of something, write it down. Well, that worked for a little while, and then she would just not even write stuff down. And so I started to have to come over here and on her side of the house, because she has an in-law apartment in my house, and I had to start writing down the list and writing what she needs. And then when we went shopping, I just had her push the cart, and I'd put stuff in for her, and I'd push my own cart, and so she didn't even have to like go and grab anything. So it started out slow, and then it just became more and more and more. And then after a while, it's like one time she took the coffee pot. It's a glass pot, and she put it on the gas stove, and the plastic handle was on fire. And luckily we were here when that happened, and my brother was here. My brother grabbed a couple pot holders and put it in the sink. So that happened, and then I told my husband, I said, we got to get rid of the gas and flame. I said, let's just get her an electric stove. So eventually we did that. We pulled the gas and the gas tanks out. We did some rearranging, took the whole island out, and so we had to, do all of that, put her electric stove in. And she hardly even used the electric stove. Actually, I'd come over and cook, and my husband would cook, and it got to be more and more and more like, and then I'd make her meals, and I'd put them in plastic containers with that like sectional plates, and put them in the fridge. Or I'd get a regular plate with saran wrap and just wrap it and put it in the fridge, and then all she had to do was pop it in the microwave. Well, after a while, she couldn't even run the microwave anymore. She'd put it on 555,
Yeah,
and or higher, And then the next thing you know, it's like we're smelling smoke, and she burnt out a microwave. So we had to replace the microwave. And then I'm like, you know what? I better unplug the stove, because if she can't run the microwave, she's not going to be able to run the stove. So I pulled the stove out, unplugged the electric stove. And, in the meantime, like even before that, we took her off the road because she lost her way from she couldn't find her way home from my sister's house. And we're in the same town. So it's
Yeah.
just a couple of villages over. So, I told her you shouldn't drive anymore, and so my sister got her a car, and I unplugged the microwave after, and I'd just come home at lunchtime. Luckily I work close by. So I'd feed her breakfast and coffee in the morning. We'd have that together and watch TV, and then I'd go to work, and then I'd come home and I'd microwave our meals, and we'd sit and have lunch together, and then I'd go back to work, and then after work I'd come home and I'd get our dinner ready, and in between I'd be able to go out, do yard work and stuff like that. But then after a while I couldn't even do that. I couldn't leave her in the house alone. I had to lock her in and stuff.
Yeah,
So
there was a time where she was becoming a flight risk because before she had left to go in a long-term care facility, she was still ambulatory. And which, if you don't know, ambulatory means able to walk. And she would be walking around, pacing the house. I can remember her sometimes thinking she was going places or not going places when it was time to go somewhere. And I also remember there were times, and mom, please don't feel like any of this is bad, but there were times like where you'd go camping and stuff like that, and Jeremy and I would help and stay with her and stuff like that.
yeah,
And we always had fun. Like we always had so much fun with Meme. I'm so grateful to have had her in my life as long as I had. I'm so glad I still have her. I'm looking forward to going to see her. I have not been able to yet, but I do have an appointment booked. So I will give you guys an update on how she's doing when I go. I'm really looking forward to being able to see her, but I do remember having to put locks on the door for her, and just I can verify with my mom like each step in the progression. Every day there's something else that you didn't think of the day before that you have to do as a next step.
yep. Well, I had to put away all the
It's
knives and stuff like
Yep.
that, and hide that, make sure there's no matches. I had to clean out her place and just like,
Anything
organize
dangerous
things
she could
for
hit her
her.
head on. We had
Yeah.
to we had to put covers on corners.
Latches on the top of the door so she can't reach it, and made it like with a spring thing so she couldn't undo it, because in the middle of the night I could be sleeping and she could try to get out. So, and I was right
Yeah.
like next door with my
And
husband.
there were
So,
times where she was trying to go in the basement and things like that during the
yep,
night
she'd
too,
get up in
waking
the
up.
middle of the night, wake my husband and
Um,
I up, and try to go down in the basement because she
I
thought her mother was down there in an incinerator, and her mother's been gone for many years.
yeah.
And this all like happened slowly, like it was in the course of a few years. But in 2020, because of COVID, I think because we weren't going out shopping and stuff, and she wasn't getting out
The
at all,
isolation.
the isolation made her go down even faster. But in 2018, I can remember that Christmas in 2018 in the morning, my brother and I had a conversation. And my brother said to me, he said, he goes, "You're going to have to put her in a nursing home. She's getting really bad and blah, blah, blah." And I told him, I said, "I'm going to try to keep her as long as I can. I just can't do that. I can't do that to her. I have to keep her as long as I can. And when the time's right, I know what I got to do." And then he says, "Well, you're going to need help." Well, I kind of wished I had listened to him sooner, because by the time I actually got the help, she was so bad and I was so burnt out. And the funny thing is, I was preparing myself to lose my mother, and that day, that Christmas day, my brother left, and the next thing you know, I'm getting ready to serve the meal, and there's policemen at the door, and they told me that my brother passed away. I lost my brother, and I'm like, "What?" Roland, it's like, how can that be? It's like, he was just here. He was fine. So it's like, it was like a roller coaster ride for me for a while. It was really difficult. My brother and I were very close too, you
And
know.
I think that had a lot to do with, grieving. When you're
Yeah,
grieving for somebody and you're caring for somebody, that's just going to increase your burnout. And in addition to that, I really think that
that made
that
mom
made
go down.
Meme's,
Yeah,
yeah, that made
my
Meme
mother went down
decline a lot more. And the
faster.
day that happened, she knew what was going on. I
Yeah,
I
she
I remember her sitting there saying, "Not my son, not my son, God, not my son. He never hurt anybody." So
yeah.
she really knew what was going on that day. But honestly, by the time of his funeral, I don't even think she realized she was at a funeral.
No,
Um,
she thought it was a
so
party.
it was like a couple days later that, or what, a
It
week
wasn't
later.
until
It was
it
about a
wasn't
week,
until after
two
New
weeks later.
Year's. It was in January
It was about
because
2 weeks
the
later,
holidays.
and she was a whole other.
Yeah. Well, she lost her
She had
brother a month
declined.
before she lost her son, so she just
Yeah,
went
so
through hell.
she really, I think that was a big contributing factor. Yes, and
Yeah,
it can.
she went down fast because of that, and then she took another big stoop because of COVID and not having
Yes.
interaction and stuff.
Um,
So,
yeah.
and by the
Any
time,
massive change like that for somebody with dementia
yeah,
can definitely really mess them up. And you will see a decline. And again, even with the COVID, like the lockdowns and stuff like that, the isolation, she was used to seeing her grandchildren or her great grandchildren almost every weekend, and her grandchildren, because I would come over a lot.
yeah,
And there
we
was a
couldn't
little
see each
while
other.
I really didn't feel, I was really kind of afraid to come see my parents. I was afraid to bring something to them and get them sick, get my grandmother sick. I was also really afraid to bring something, God forbid, if they were exposed to anything, to bring something to work and put my residents at risk. And fortunately, they were safe. My parents were safe the whole time.
Yeah, we were
Um,
careful. We all work with the public. I mean, Sarah's a healthcare worker. I'm a property manager, and my husband works in a school. So,
yeah, so we all kind of had that fear of, am I going to bring something home to my family? Well, dad was home for a while too.
yeah, he was out of
He
work for a
he
while.
was
The
home
school
for a
was closed,
while.
but I was still working,
But there was that
and you
fear, and
were.
you did a great job, Mom, and you handled all that really well too.
Thank you, Sarah.
But well, the lockdown was hard on everybody, especially the elderly. A lot of elderly in isolation declined a lot this past year, and it's really hard. And then you're struggling yourself because, while all this is going on, here's my mom trying to get services in the house.
And because this was going on, there was a shortage of CNAs. So it was,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh my God, I got to go to work. I can't leave her home alone, And I finally got help, but she only was qualified for 20 hours a week, which I thought was insane because it's like, okay, so I got somebody here in the mornings, but I don't have anyone in the afternoon. And, I'd come and relieve the girl, have lunch with mom, and then I'd have to go back to work and lock her in. And I had cameras, so I would watch the cameras while I'm working. I'd like go and look at it every now and then and make sure she was all right. But then it got to a point when I had to get somebody for the afternoons, and I just asked friends and family. Sarah came one day, my other daughter came another day, and one of my friends took 3 days. And so I was able, that was just for me to work. I didn't even even to go shopping or do anything else like that. It was really difficult because I had to find somebody to stay with her.
Yeah.
And so that was tough. And I didn't realize it, but as this was all going on, I mean, I was also managing her medications and everything for years. I mean, that'd been going on for years. So this all took a while.
It
It
was a
was
slow
it
process.
was a slow process. It was and I found myself doing more and more and more for her. To the point where it's okay. Now I got to shower her. I got to put her on a toilet. I got to tell her to go to the toilet or I'm going to be cleaning a mess, and I've had some big messes and it was not fun. And I had to do it. I had to wake her up in the morning and say, Mom, you got to get up and get in the shower because I got to go to work too. So I'd have to get her in the shower, get her dressed, get her in her chair, give her a coffee, give her her pills, give her breakfast and everything, and have mine and everything. And then Put the dishes in the sink and run out, and then come home at lunchtime, heat up the lunch and do the dishes, and then run back to work. It was rough, and I didn't realize this at all. But after I put her in a nursing home, I could have put her in any old place and got her in quicker, but I didn't want her in any old place. I wanted her in a good place. And I talked to people and tried to find out about different places and, close by, and make sure their reputation was good and they took good care of the people. And I spoke with an ombudsman, and I found out from my daughters that they knew people that worked at this place. Plus, it had a good reputation and it was close. And I'm like, all right, then that's the place. It sounds like, we know people inside. It's got a good reputation, and I'm going to feel comfortable putting her there. It was still extremely difficult to do. I mean, especially during COVID. I had to go there, and my husband came with me and drop her off. I could walk her to the door. And then they brought her in, and I had to turn around and walk away. I didn't even get to see her room or anything like that and see her get settled. I couldn't go visit her. I still can't. I mean, I have to make an appointment, and I have to go in there with a mask and a shield, which I have no problem with. I understand that because they have to protect the people, and if they didn't, I wouldn't want her in there.
Exactly.
It's horrible for me. It really is, because she was here every day with me. And, I was so upset and cried so much that I ended up forgetting to leave her clothes and stuff. So I had to call them and say, oh my God, I forgot to leave her clothes. And I had to go back and bring them. And,
I'm sure they understood, though.
yeah.
And they've been great. I believe you
They've been really good.
I believe you talk to them every day.
Almost every day. Yeah. In
Yeah.
the beginning, it was every day. But, I call and I ask how she's doing. Oh, and it's always the same thing. Oh, she ate well. She's just walking around. And I can't talk to my mother because my mother can't have a conversation. So it's like she doesn't.
You depend on the nurses.
Right. And I can't say, oh, tell her I said hi, because she ain't going to know what's going on. She's that gone right now. She's just lost. She has no idea what's going on. It was very difficult, and it still is. I mean, I come over on her side of the house because that's where the coffee pot is, and I always made the coffee here, and I still do. And I come here and I get the coffee, and it's empty, and it's like, oh, Mom, I miss you so much. It's so hard some days, and then other days it's not as bad. But I miss my brother too. That's another thing. It's like I went through the shock of losing my brother, and I really miss him a lot too. So I just feel like, and Dad's been gone for a while, and I feel like my whole family's almost all gone. I just have my sister left, and that's it.
Hey, what am I, chopped liver? I'm literally sitting right here.
No,
Mom.
I'm talking about my
whole
family.
Gone. I'm sitting right here.
Well, no, you're
your
here,
most famous daughter.
My kids.
No, I'm just kidding.
My kids and my grandkids, but my family that I grew up with is almost all gone. And even though my mother's alive, it's like her body's there, but her mind's gone.
Well, that's the problem with dementia is it robs you of your loved one twice. Yeah. It does. It robs you of their personality. It robs you of their person, their essence, what makes them them. And then later on, it robs you of their physical body.
It's a very mean disease.
It sucks.
Yep. It's very mean disease.
Yeah, I'm not even going to candy coat it. It sucks. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch it when it's not your family. And it's even harder to watch it when it's your own family. And, I've said this before, Mom, I think you've done a fantastic job with her.
Thank you.
And as much as I advocate and push for people to keep their loved ones home, I also know too that there is a time where the burden becomes too much on the caregiver.
Oh, it was
and
way
it becomes
too much.
Unsafe for the caregiver.
I didn't realize how bad, but you know what?
Person.
A week after she was in,
you started feeling better physically and emotionally.
Physically and in my chest, I had so much tension for a while, because I had to try to make sure I had somebody here. And if somebody called in sick, it's like, okay, can I get somebody else? Because I got to get to work. And it's like, I have appointments today, and, what do I do? And, so I'd get all anxious and everything. It's like, oh God, I got all this stuff to do. How am I going to, it was overwhelming. So there was a tension in my chest, and I didn't even realize how bad it was until it went away. And like a week later, my husband and I were driving in the car, and I looked at him and I said, "You know something?" He goes, "What?" I said, "All of a sudden I realized that I just lost all that stress and tension that I had in my chest. It's just like all that weight's like lifted, all of us it's like took a week, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, it just went away, like, but it took that long for me.
Yeah. So, Mom, would you mind describing to me how your role has changed from being like the primary physical caregiver to you're still her caregiver, but you're more in a advocate role for her? You've gone from being like the primary caregiver, like the physical caregiver, to being, her power of attorney, her which you were before, but more of a power of attorney role. Basically, you don't have the physical care. You're now more in an advocate role, is what I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
just
say.
kind of fill in the people at the nursing home when they ask me about her personality, her likes and stuff like that, and dislikes, and I gave them a list of her meds, and working to get her on Medicaid, and like the financial things, and handling any bills that are coming in and stuff like that. Recently they told me that she could use a TV in a room, so I went out and got one, and brought it to them, and then they said they needed more clothes, so I'm bringing that, and so I do things like that. But I don't have as much responsibilities. I'm looking forward to when I can actually go in the nursing home and like put up pictures and set up a room. I sent her with a couple, but not many. I don't know what a room looks like,
Yeah.
but
I wouldn't honestly, from the standpoint of somebody who's worked in an Alzheimer's unit before, I would send with pictures of family, but I would make sure you have physical copies of them as well.
yeah, because I know other
Because
people will go in
other
and take them,
residents could get confused and take them.
not knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would try not to send a loved one with valuables, which I actually
No, I
would.
didn't. I made sure
Yeah,
all her
or
jewelry
even
stayed
even
home.
nice clothing. I mean, not like don't send them in with rags either, but
Well, no, I sent her with
you
decent
know what I
clothes.
mean. Not like
Because, I mean, what am I going to do with it?
I would avoid like the wools and the cashmeres, like the delicate fabrics
Yeah,
and things like that.
I didn't do that.
But I'm gonna
Because
touch
I
on
know
that.
they have to wash it and
Yeah,
dry it.
and I'm gonna
So.
touch on that in a later episode. But from a clinical standpoint, as far as like what I've seen as like an aide inside in the rooms every day, minimalism in a facility is great. I'll talk about that on another episode though. Mom, is there anything else you want to add?
For Easter, we're going to bring her one of those staffs to put in the ground outside her window, because she's got a window bed. And they're going to put we're going to put little bird suets, and maybe flower basket and a little bird house. So when she looks outside, she can see that.
I think
To
that'll
be
be
honest,
great.
I don't even know if she's even going to realize it's there. But
I have a resident right now who has a family. Her family put a Christmas tree up outside her window, and they're decorating it for every single holiday. It's really cute.
oh, that's nice. That's a good idea.
I wonder if we can put like a
I
little
don't
tree
know
out
if
there.
she even
You know,
sees it, because before she went in the nursing home, she would just like look straight down. I think she's got
she might
tunnel
not have
vision
that
now.
vision. Yeah,
I don't know if she has,
and
if she can
that does
see it.
happen with advanced dementia. It does alter your vision and things like that.
Yeah, it's been a rough road, and I took care of her to the point where I hurt my foot, and I didn't take care of myself. I mean, I went to urgent care. They told me it was sprained. I took that as face value, and took care of it like a sprain, and come to find out, and I wanted to go get it checked at one point, after 8 weeks, but I didn't have anybody to watch her for me. So I figured, you know what? Maybe it's just taking longer because I'm older and I have arthritis and everything. And so I just kind of blew it off. I don't have anybody to watch her, so I can go. But anyway, after she went in the nursing home, I made an appointment. I got in to an orthopedic and found out it's actually fractured, and I have a Lisfranc injury and torn tendons. So now this is going to take me a while to heal, because I
Yes.
didn't go sooner and take care of myself. But Yeah, I don't ever regret taking care of my mother. I mean,
No.
I don't regret having her and my dad live here in this in-law apartment. I mean, it was wonderful having them here. We had some really good times. We used to sit out in what we call the park that my father, you know, put some fencing up. He made out of pallets, and we had a fire pit, and we'd sit out there on a swing, and we'd chat outside. And my kids used to come out and sit with Meme and Pepe too, and talk with them. And so in all the holidays, they were already here. And if they got tired, they just got up from my house and just came over here and sat on this side. So they love that. They'd take a little nap and then they'd get back up and come over again after
Yeah.
when they were rested. So that was nice. It was a good time. My kids used to come here when they couldn't find something to eat in my fridge, and they'd go open Meme and Pepe's fridge and what you got, Meme and Pepe?
And my grandparents, in well fashion, just like all grandparents do, would have the fridge fully stocked with me and my sister's favorite snacks.
Yeah. And that's what I do with my grandkids now. I always make sure there's fish sticks for Joey and Hot Pockets for Remy, and all their favorites and their juice and snacks they like. And we always make sure that we have that for them. So I'm really happy that I had my parents here with me for that amount of time.
I've seen it at my work. I've seen it with my own grandmother, and
I've seen it at work. I work with the elderly. I manage a housing facility for the elderly. So
it's heartbreaking. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're watching so many people. So looking back on all that, another thing that I just want to mention this really quick is that a lot of times caregivers find themselves neglecting their own care and prioritizing the person they're care for. And I think personally, I think it's safe to say that you did do that, like in regards to your foot and other things.
Well, with my foot, but I mean, I still worked out. I was on my treadmill until I hurt my foot, and I was trying to exercise and take care of myself, eat right, and all that stuff. But yeah, stress to the max. I wish I would have tried to get somebody sooner, but I did try to before, months before, but it's like
It's hard.
It's hard because there's a shortage of CNAs out there even before COVID, and then when COVID happened, and it was even worse. So it was even harder to get somebody. And when I did get somebody, I got a really good person. I really liked her. Her and I hit it off, and she was
great
so
with
good with my
Yeah.
mother. I trusted her. She was really good with my mother. My mother liked her and stuff, so that was really awesome.
1,000%, I agree with you.
And then having my two daughters and my friend, my friend was awesome with my mother too. And I love my friend, and I trust my friend
and she has
too, and my
experience
daughters.
with the elderly also.
Yep, she has experience. She was a CNA, and so and she did home health care. So
Yeah.
But I lucked out. I got some really good people, and Mom was well cared for here, and she was safe. I mean, I even like the girl that didn't know me that came in from the agency, she told me, she says, I can't even recommend anything. I mean, I had a commode over a toilet with the handles to help her get up and down. I mean, bars in the shower. Like I said, I took the gas stove out, put the electric stove in, and then when I knew it was time, I unplugged the electric stove and then unplugged the microwave. I mean, everything, there was nothing dangerous in here that she could get hurt with. And, everything was, I took good care of her, and I kept her apartment clean as well as my house and everything, and her yard and my yard. And I mean, it was a lot of work, and I'm not sorry I did it. I love my mother so much. I miss her. And I mean, I'm not even, see her
again soon.
I know. And I'm not changing anything in her apartment because it's like, I can't, I don't know. I can't do it.
And that's okay. And you don't have to yet. And I think we've had this discussion on the phone privately. And I think I've told you, like, Mom, it's okay to wait to do those big things. Like, wait till you're, not dealing with all these things to do those big things. But another question I have for you, I just have two more questions. Another question I have for you is, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently? Through the whole journey?
No, I really wouldn't. I think, and people even told me, I did a good job and everything was.
You did, Mom. You did
I took
amazing.
really good care of her, and years ago I was a CNA. So I knew what I was in for. They always put me on those floors too with the Alzheimer's and dementia people. And I always kind of like resented that in a way back then because I thought, I'd like to have the easy floors like the other girls do, but they always stick me on these. You know, I think about it and I think, I don't know what everyone's beliefs are out there, but I believe that God puts us in places for a reason. And I believe that God put me on those floors with the Alzheimer's and dementia patients to prepare me to take care of my mother.
Yeah.
Because
And
I didn't have an issue doing it. It was
that's highly yeah, I would say that I've seen that happen more than once. People work with someone actually I can personally say that with me with kids when I did home care. They kept putting me on pediatric cases, specifically autism pediatric cases. And I liked the kids, but oh my God, I hated working with autism. It was really complicated for me to understand. I didn't have proper autism training. And I did talk about that in another podcast. And here I am now in autism mom times two. So it's funny how life does that. We think we're being
I think God prepares us for
we're
things.
being a lot of times we're being put in places that we don't know why we're put in this situation. And then down the line it's like, oh, I'm so glad I was there then, even though it was hard, because it's prepared me for
You got
this
experience.
moment. Exactly. And just one more question. What would you say to somebody who is starting or in the middle or at the end of the journey you've been on with your mom as far as caring for them with dementia? What would you tell them to do or start, or what would your best advice be?
Just to watch them really closely, and when you see them not, like I did when you're shopping and you see them like forgetting things and getting too much of other things, and then just start doing a list for them and putting the stuff in the basket and do what you got to do. And they'll find that you end up doing more and more and more, and before you know it, I mean, you're doing everything, even giving them a shower. It's like, and helping them get dressed. I mean, it starts small, but it gradually increases in it, and and when it does, you don't even realize how much you're doing until
You're not.
you're not, and then you look back and it's like, oh my God, you're like, how did I even do all of that?
Yeah. So maybe get help early, recognize,
Yeah,
pay attention to the signs early, and try to get help a
try to
little
get help
earlier.
early because
Yep.
there's a shortage of CNAs. I didn't know that, so there's a
Oh yeah,
shortage.
there's
So start looking early.
actually
Don't wait. And
CNA growth is I did an episode on that as well, where I discussed it, and there is going to be a shortage of CNAs in the next 5 years. By, I want to say, the patient to staff ratios is going to be, I think, 20 or 18% higher than they are
even
now. So you're looking at, we really need CNAs, and it's a great job to have. It's not an easy job, but it is a great job. So if you're a hard worker and you like helping people, there's different aspects you can do. So please, if you want more information on becoming a CNA, please reach out to me, and I can help find services for you in your area, because it's a really good job. It's an important job, and we really need people to do it. Reach out to me at caregiverchroniclespod@gmail.com, and I'll give you that information.
Yeah, and it's really nice helping people and spending time with the elderly. I had one elderly lady show me how to crochet, and when you're done your work, you can go sit and talk with them. And I learned about a lot of different things that happened in history, like floods and things like that, and things about people, and it was really cool. It was very interesting. Oh,
And rewarding. So anyway, with that, I think we're going to wrap up this episode. What do you think, Mom? Should we wrap it up?
yep. Sounds good.
Did you have fun on my show?
Yes, I did. And thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you all for listening. And I want to again thank you again, Mom, for being on. I know it was a little bit nerve-wracking for you. I know you're a little nervous to come on, but I'm glad you did. And I also want to say a special thank you because I realized today that Caregiver Chronicles has a new listener in Brazil. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to the Caregiver Chronicles community, all the people who listen everywhere. I know we have listeners all over the world. I'm incredibly grateful for that. I know I've said this before, but I literally started this podcast in my truck to just talk about what I've been going through. And I didn't think it would come this far. And it's only been 9 months. And this is where we're at. And I'm just really grateful for every single listener I have. So anywhere you are, if you're interested in becoming a CNA, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, if you'd like to come and be a guest on our show, we would love to have you. You can find me again at caregiverchroniclespod@gmail.com. You can also find me through our website, mywifepod.com. And also Caregiver Chronicles on Facebook is another good way to message me through Facebook Messenger. We're on Instagram as Caregiver Chronicles 2 and CareCron1 on Twitter. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear what you're doing, how you're coping if you're going through a similar situation as my mom. We'd just love to hear from you. And also, we are on Pandora now. I know I teased that before because I applied to be on Pandora and we got accepted to Pandora. Yay! So you can hear us on multiple platforms. The latest 3 would be Pandora, TuneIn Radio, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and radio.com. We're also on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Google, and Apple. So with that, I hope you guys are all having a great day. Stay safe wherever you are, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.